Welcome back, Empowering You community. How's everybody doing? We are moving into fall, and I hope everyone is having a great one so far. So, the question I have today is, how do we grow in our romantic relationships? And the way that I look at this is, in working with couples and working in my own relationships, I am I try to be, right, or as aware as we can be. I try to be aware of codependent habits and behaviors and ways of being in my relationships. So, the ultimate goal for me is to be able to have a relationship, be able to experience unconditional love, give up the codependent behaviors and patterns and expectations, right? Because that's part of being codependent in a relationship, is all of these expectations that we place and we project on other people in our lives. And that is all about love, that type of relationship. But the relationship that, and I'll also call that what I call the new kind of relationship, or the new perspective around love relationships, all relationships, but today we're talking about romantic relationships. So let's talk about where we might be in relationship and where we've come from in relationship, because that relationship is the relationship that is attached to a fear foundation. The fear foundation of losing, not getting my needs met, and the worries that come about from that fear place. The truth is that we have all grown up in a world where it's not safe to be ourselves. We've been shown over and over again that that we're not good enough, and that it's not safe to be ourselves. We see this from the time we start toddling around and mom and dad are constantly redirecting us, and we start going to school and we start getting graded and ranked and compared at home and in school. And society does it, and our relationships do it, and our business relationships do it. And we get to a point in our life where we're old enough to start having these romantic encounters and these relationships, but we're so insecure, and we are, because of our wounding, right? And if we can understand that we are a product of our past, and that is what keeps us locked into this old fear-based way, this codependent way of being in a relationship. And part of this is, it's the kind of relationship where I need you to change in order for me to be comfortable, right? So if there's just so many things we could talk about here, but basically it's your job, if you're in a relationship with me, to make me happy, right? This is the way we've grown up. We have grown up in families where mom and dad did this to us. They didn't mean to. Most of this is really unconscious, and it's been going on for millennia, so to speak. But now I feel like, I'm one of these teachers that is helping us move into a place where we can actually allow unconditional love in our relationships. However, the first relationship, where we need to do the work and where we really need to go and take a look, is inside of ourselves. Because remember, we're a product of our past. So if I'm a product of my past, and I've been, betrayed and abused and rejected over and over again, then I am going into all my relationships with all this wounding. And so I am already on like a heightened alert, okay? I'm on code red, waiting for you to show me how you're not going to be the person I need in my life, because you're going to be like everybody else, right? It's so unconscious, but we're constantly putting the focus on the other person because we're trying to figure out if it's going to be safe or not safe for me to be in the relationship. But the problem is that if we're getting into relationships and this is the way we're behaving, it can never be love. It can never be unconditional love, because I need you so much to be the perfect person for me, right? But what we don't understand is no one is going to be perfect for us if we're kind of running from ourselves and we're kind of not looking at where the real answers lie. The real answers lie inside of ourselves. So, if I want to have or find that amazing depth of trust, vulnerability, deep physical connection, where there are no inhibitions, where we have the fantasy, we finally have the Disney idea, I guess, of the relationship. I believe we can have it, right? I've experienced this type of relationship. Okay. And now I really understand what it was. It was a depth of love, right? It was all of these things I'm talking about. But how amazing if we can have this type of relationship when two people are actually conscious that they're getting into a relationship and that they appreciate what they have and they allow the other person to grow. And I believe the only way that we can grow as a couple, right, stand the test of time, is if we are willing to do a few things. We have to be willing to look at ourselves. We have to be willing to, if we want to attain this, we have to be willing, sorry, I feel like I've got a hair on me. We have to be willing to look at ourselves. We have to be willing to do some of the introspective work and to realize that I'm the way I am because of whatever, right? It's not that we have to do so much work. And this is where I think people get tripped up. But it takes bravery. Right? It takes bravery to start realizing that I am, as good as I am, is as good as the relationship that I'm going to have with another person. So if I'm in a relationship with somebody and I haven't done any of my work and I'm so insecure, it's just not going to go well. It can't go well. But if I choose to realize that, you know what, I'm unhappy inside of myself, so I'm probably not going to be happy in a relationship with somebody else until I get myself straight. So if I'm willing to do the work on myself and I'm willing to be open and allow other people to be who they are, right? To think the way that they are. And if they like sushi and I don't, that's really fine. And if they like this and I don't, it's not a big deal. It's just that we enjoy different things. And when we can give up this attachment that we have on having to be the same all the time with these surface type things, we can actually allow for a different kind of love experience in our lives. Deeper than the superficial experience, it can be the unconditional love, right? And I will say, right, I said a minute ago, it starts with ourselves. As much as I can love myself, the more I can love myself, the more I can, love another person. I can't give to anyone that which I don't first give to myself. So if we want to be in this type of relationship, and I believe most of us are craving this type of relationship, maybe not most of us, but I think there are a lot more of us craving this type of relationship. It takes looking at a relationship differently. So instead of couples getting into relationships and building up the other person to be something that the other person won't be able to live into, if we look at relationships as though these are for growth, that's what they are. The person you choose in a relationship is there to teach you because they trigger you. They trigger your pain. They trigger your past. It's all about healing. And we help each other do this by Well, by obviously hurting and getting upset and feeling whatever we're feeling with the other person. But if we can realize that it's not the other person who's doing this to us, it is merely that the other person is showing us the place inside of ourselves that we need to look. Where is the healing needed? Where is it inside of myself that I need to love more? And that is the key to relationships, okay? It's growth, right? We have this romantic Disney idea of relationship, but the truth is that all relationships are here to teach us something. So if we approach it that way, then we can look at it from a different angle and be like, oh, okay. I don't know about you, but when I started thinking about that, it relieved me. I was like, okay, I understand. I'm here to learn. This person is teaching me a lot, right? And you know what? You learn from every relationship, no matter how long it lasts, no matter, outside of romantic relationships, we always learn. Even parenting, we learn. Our children are teaching us as well. They're triggering things in us as well for us to take a look at inside of ourselves. So let's shift the perspective around the relationship, okay? Let's shift the way that we're viewing our relationship. Because if we don't have so much restraints around the other person, it being perfect, watching them all the time, putting more of the focus on myself, that's what I'd like to offer. Number one, put more focus on yourself. Number two, realize that this is for your growth. Your relationship is for growing. Number three, realize that what you experience pain-wise is more about you than it is the other person. The other person is just merely a reflection of what's still yet to be loved inside of yourself. I won't call it unresolved. I'll call it the child inside of you that needs more love from you, is what I'll call it. And I would like to offer that. It is a big conversation. It is maybe a new way of thinking, but I know we can get there. I know that we will all be so much more happier in our relationships if we can look at it this way and we can approach relationships this way. It's kind of like, we're being self-responsible and approaching a relationship from what can I add to my relationship? What is it that I am learning at this time, right? That's a real different animal than why aren't you acting and behaving and liking the things that I like and being the way that I want you to be? It's a very different experience. And I have to say, it's awesome. Okay. So I hope this was helpful. It's a really long video, but I hope it was real valuable for you. Okay. Talk to you next time. Thanks so much.